Welcome back to F1 Report, everyone. It's race week, and we are returning to Silverstone in Britain for the second week in a row. Just like Austria before it, this one comes with a special name, the 70th Anniversary Grand Prix. Don't worry, there are no track changes. The only other change is with the tyres, and it's probably the opposite of what you'd expect if you saw last weekend's action. Pirelli will be bringing softer compound tyres to the Grand Prix this weekend. As I mentioned, this will probably be a surprise to most of us that watched last week's race, as we saw multiple tyre failures towards the end, so it's a bit counterintuitive to bring softer tyres, right? However, this decision was made weeks before the race, and Pirelli have come out and said that it's unlikely these problems would happen again this week. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Those tyre failures did spice up what was one of the duller races that we've had this season so far, so I'm hoping this weekend will be a bit more lively in terms of action, so we don't have to rely on dodgy tyres for our fun. As usual, let's take a look at the teams coming into the weekend and what they might be expecting. We'll start with our runaway constructors leaders, Mercedes, who missed out on a 1-2 finish and the points haul that would have brought them last weekend. However, I don't think that will bother the team too much at this stage, as they're currently so dominant and lack any real competition to make them worry. Bottas will be the one really hurting after last week. He's gone from touching distance from Hamilton to having a mountain to climb in the remaining races. He needs to bounce back in a big way with a big win. And as we know, he's very capable of that. If he can get out in front early, we've seen that he's very good at controlling the pace, but the hard part is getting past Hamilton first. Hamilton himself will just want to continue his winning run, of course. He loves Silverstone, and he is no doubt the favourite to win again. Red Bull is still the closest challenger to Mercedes, but as we saw from last weekend with Max, it's a very lonely place they occupy. Not quite fast enough to keep up with the Mercedes, but faster than every other team. One thing that will be worrying them though, is the current running of Alex Albon. Every week he seems to be finding himself having to battle through the field for one reason or another. One thing he'll be desperate to improve on is his qualifying results. That'll keep him out of the midfield and lessen the risky overtakes he needs to make. He and Red Bull will also be keen to quiet some of the rumours surrounding the availability of his seat too. Another team who had a mixed weekend last time out was Ferrari. Leclerc had a terrific race, securing his second podium of the season, but Vettel had another weekend to forget. Last weekend, Leclerc had said that Ferrari were trying something radical in the aero department, as they knew the track typically favoured power, something they are still struggling with right now. The real question right now is, do Ferrari stay with this change in the hopes Leclerc can get another good result, or do they try to make things more balanced to bring Vettel back into the points picture? It'll be an interesting answer considering Vettel is leaving at the end of the season. Racing Point has a disappointing weekend by their new standards. Hülkenberg didn't even make the start line, and Stroll seems to struggle in the midfield, being passed by the majority of his midfield rivals. I feel like I say this every week, but we know the Racing Point is fast, but they're just not living up to their new expectations. Coming into this week, they'll be desperate for a strong finish and to finally capitalise on the pace everyone knows they have. This might get more complicated as Sergio Perez has been in quarantine after testing positive for COVID-19 and did not get any track time last week out. The team today confirmed that he's completed his quarantine and they'll make a decision on their driver lineup shortly. McLaren have definitely been the feel-good team of the season so far and would have had another good double points finish last weekend if it wasn't for Carlos Sainz's tyre blowing out late on. Lando Norris was still on hand to get some good points for the team to carry on their great form. Their collective goal will be to continue this run and outscore the Racing Point and Renault's if possible. Renault had a great race last time out. They ended up with a strong double points finish and a season best 4th place for Daniel Ricciardo. Renault have seemed to get stronger and stronger as the season has progressed, becoming a real threat to the Racing Point and McLaren's. They'll be looking to show that form again coming into this weekend. I'd love to see a bit more from Ocon this weekend. He's been slowly building his confidence, so I'd love to see him start challenging his teammate this weekend. AlphaTauri are another team that have been proving as time goes on. Gasly has been super consistent in scoring points and being in the right place at the right time to capitalise on the misfortune of others. Kvyat has been less lucky, crashing out heavily last time due to a tyre failure. I'm sure they'll be in the points hunt again this weekend, and waiting to pounce should any more tyre related issues happen with the frontrunners. Williams have made great strides this season. They're now into Q2 for the third race in a row with George Russell, and last weekend Russell was even on the attack. Great to see Williams move forward. Hopefully we'll see that again this weekend. I think the only slight disappointment for them at the moment is that their rookie Nicholas Latifi is quite far behind his teammate right now. That may be something they're looking to improve this weekend as well. Both Alfa Romeo and Haas seem to be at the back of the grid due to their Ferrari powered engines reacting poorly to the track, which has more of a focus on power. Haas have come up with a few strategy surprises though, so I'd love to see one of those again this weekend just to get them up the grid a little bit. Although Grosjean will need to watch those braking zones. Sadly, the Alphas just seem to be sliding backwards without much of a fight right now. I'd be interested to see if they've got any rabbits they can pull out the hat this weekend. Overall, I'm hopeful for a bit more of a fun race. I do think the front of the grid is sorted, however, but that midfield battle is the thing that's going to be interesting. Definitely where my eyes are going to be. The battle between Racing Point, McLaren and Renault will continue to rumble on throughout the season, but these back-to-back races really allow a team to get on a roll. This week I'll be looking out for Renault in particular, because I want to see if they can repeat that performance from last week. I'll also be on the watch for Albon as well. Will he finally get good qualifying and be able to show us what he can do at the front of the field? Let me know who you'll be watching in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.